Apparently, this is very well
I
known
want to take
throughout
a
the world.
second before we sing our
Hey, no, I'm not
theme
talking. I'm
song
talking.
to introduce this lady right
Judy,
over here
really?
in the green shirt.
Man,
That's
all
her.
right.
Her name is
Bye,
Judy as
lady.
well. We
Hi.
call her Judy
Hi.
Chaw, Judy McDonald. She's a friend. And she has done all these altars. She has done the decorations on the tables. And she's just doing it because she's kind and generous and a wonderful friend. And so she's coming in to benefit from our speakers as well. So I want you to welcome her and thank her for all she has done. She didn't know I was going to do that. Okay, let's sing. Be still. Be still and know that I walk with you. Be at peace within your heart. Be still and know when I talk with you. I always hear, I always take your part. You can be seated. I have the pleasure to introduce our next speaker. It's a young lady I've known since she was a teenager. We had some good times when the youth group was, when she was in our youth group and whatever. But now she's Dr. Denise Lott. She's a psychologist. She's worked in the mental health arena for about over 25 years. She is very cerebral. I was going to say that. And she loves the Bible. We're in Sunday school class today with Kelly from y'all. Yes, y'all met yesterday. And she takes the leadership a lot of times. And right now right before Lent, we broke off. She was leading us through a study of the minor prophets. And she likes history of the Bible and wants to know where everything is set time-wise, what was going on when this was going on and was being written. She's just a great gal and a lot of fun. So this is Dr. Denise Lott.
Hey, y'all. Spoiler alert, our Sunday school class is 4610. Yeah. And Kelly and Judy and I are there, and Judy Cha, and anyway. So we're all comfortable and we're all familiar with each other. And anyway, I've lost my rhythm. My goal was actually to come in here and get y'all worked up. And, and so I didn't think about the devotional, and I didn't think about all of the things that you would be doing during kind of this time, right? Does anybody wear a Fitbit where they're looking at their pulse rate, right? All right, so after I ended up with some long COVID and my pulse rate went a bit higher. And boy, I love data. I love information. I like to know, and I like to know why, right? And there's a little dialogue in the back of my head going all the time, right? So this morning when I got in the car, my pulse rate was about 80, 84. And that's pretty normal for me post-COVID, right? And by the time I got out of my car, it was a little bit higher. By the time I got into breakfast and I started chatting with people, I was hitting about 100. When these guys over here started wiring me up, I was hitting about 110, right? So I sat down at 110, and your devotional lady told me to breathe, and she told me to breathe, and she used what my mom would call my therapist voice, right? Breathe in. And then all of a sudden, I was hitting about 94. Back at 110, right? So Judy asked us to do this last year, months and months ago when there was nothing on the calendar. Oh yeah, I'll do that. That's fun. I can talk about stress management. I can do this, right? And so, I don't know, November or something, she's like, you got your PowerPoint, you got your presentation, you got your, what's the title of this thing? I'm like, Lord, I hadn't even thought about that. And so it's like, yeah, I'll get that to you. We got some plenty of time, And then January happens. So I've worked 18 years in the mental health field with special needs. I really like that work. And our state started dismantling government. And we went from not filling positions to then having some layoffs, and then we were having biannual layoffs, then we were having quarterly layoffs, and I watched my friends lose their jobs and stuff, and it was like, boy, it was getting tight. And Ish is single. There is no second income that can like support something. If it's gone, it's gone. And I jumped ship. And where did I jump ship to? Well, I need to stay here because my little mama lives here. And you hear my voice and all the things going and the least amount of opportunities that you have. And so I jump where? I jump right into the federal. Because we have them here too, and I had to work with suicide the first year, and I had rates of suicide so much higher then, and I had so much anxiety because if I lost somebody, what would that mean? How would I have failed somebody? How would I live with that? And then I did trauma care, and I got good at trauma care. I got really good at trauma care. But all of a sudden, I am hearing trauma, I'm hearing trauma, I'm hearing trauma, I'm hearing trauma. But I get used to it, right? I move and I adapt. Now, January comes, and it is like a revisit, it is like a flashback, and here are all of our jobs up in peril, and other people's jobs up in peril. You know, I love that saying and stuff that we may all be in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat, right? And so it's also the idea when you have shared stress, kind of like where are your support systems and where are these things going? And so then I look and Judy goes, hey, do you have your presentation together? It's like, seriously? Stress management, seriously? As I'm compulsively watching the news, trying to anticipate what's coming my way and how do I prepare myself for it. By the way, I'm letting myself go great. I hang on to the money because who knows, right? And so when she's talking about me being young, and right now I would say I'm at 108. So it's remarkable that I went down 2 points, but that's probably because I laughed. And there's all these studies and stuff about dark humor and how it serves you, and it means that you're cognitive and stuff, but it also has some level of resilience and stuff. And all I know is my daddy could laugh, and my mama could laugh. And my priorities are not right. If I look for a marriage partner and stuff, there are 3 things that I want. I want humor, integrity, and faith. And it really should be faith, integrity, and humor. Right? But they have to have the trifecta, and thus I'm still single, right? But so you see, like all the chicka, because I was just transparent, and I put it all in front of you. So man makes plans, and God laughs, and I'm doing a presentation in the midst of layoffs, right? So maybe God knew that I would need these things in this moment. And if y'all had Joanne, Joanne is fond of such time as these. And where did my voice go? As I set into some level of acceptance. Went up. I don't know why it went up, but it went up, right? So I was going to wind y'all up and let you hear my voice go and see how stressed y'all got, particularly after be still, let's sing, let's breathe, right? And I saw somebody from work and physical therapist, but they didn't know me and stuff. And I was like, well, I'm Dr. Lott in the real world. And then I thought, heck, this is the real world. I'm Denise. I don't even know who I am this morning. So these are all roles that we play, but we're foundationally this one person. So Kelly talked to y'all about a number of ways to look at stress, think about stress. Thinking about your thinking about is a phrase a friend of mine likes to use, right? And so y'all can remember some of the skills that he gave y'all? So I'm going to give you some behavioral responses, but I'm also going to test the waters and see where y'all are at. How do you know when you're stressed? What are the things that tell you, this has crept up on me, I'm stressed now? Anybody? Comfort food, yeah. So I like, why do I want this? How am I there, right? Sweaty palms, right? My mind goes, I can't sleep. Short, sharp, cranky responses. Yep, I had my mom on the phone yesterday trying to get into an encrypted document to help her with her taxes. While she's telling me, I thought it was this way, but it's this way, and then she had 2 stories going and I couldn't track. Right? Yeah, I didn't have a free hand to check it, right? And so y'all have identified some cognitive things, some biological things, kind of those cravings, some physiological things, so sweat, right? Some observable kind of response rates. And so that's where, move it forward to the next slide. One back. So when you look at, yes, what do you base it on? What are the physiological things? What are the cognitions, right? There's an old movie that I like with Holly Hunter, Danny DeVito, and Queen Latifah. That's a group right there. It's called Living Out Loud. And I just love the transparency in that movie. But there's a place, Holly her husband left her for a younger model, but she got the apartment that she now can't afford in the place, and she's been trying to keep fit all of this time, keeping up with the people that live in that wealthy apartment complex. And so now she's sitting there alone, and she's lost everything that she's worked for, right? Because that's where her priorities were. And so she orders a hamburger, because Lord knows she hadn't had one and she needed one. And she's watching the news, and the news is sitting there talking about these crack babies, and she goes, oh my God, these crack babies. Okay, I can adopt a crack baby. I'll just have my little crack baby, and I'll be so happy to have this little child. What are you thinking about? You can't have that baby up in this building. These people will look at your baby like that's funny, and they'll get teased, and they'll get whatever. I can't deal with this. And she turns the channel, and then it's like bombing somewhere. And she goes, oh God, I can't deal with this. And she turns the channel, right? And it's just another thing of bad junk, right? And she says the line that I have saved for a lifetime. What am I supposed to do with all this information? My mom was unloading one day, and I just looked at her flatly going, well, what do you want me to do with that information? Right? I just like to have gotten slapped. So those are all your incoming. You can move to the next slide. And I want you to see that stress responses are normal. Stress responses are predictable, right? That just our everyday, I'm getting up, I'm driving to work. At the breakfast table, we were talking about bad drivers, people that didn't know how to merge, but also road rage. George, your name was mentioned. The kindest person I know, except, right? So we all have these triggers. And so when I talked about my mom being on the phone with me telling why her taxes weren't where she wanted them to be, right? And that I'm trying to get in the document to get the new form, that it's an encrypted, and it's now telling me to make up these questions. And I think it's given me the roles of characters and numbers and whatever, and they don't even belong in the answer of a question, right? Because it's going too fast. And you can imagine if I'm talking this fast, what might my internal dialogue be? But you see there is a tension reduction. At work, I do violence prevention now. We try to head off the events where active shooters are. You look at the lowest possible space to intervene. You know that violence is predicated on a feeling of injustice or a collection of grievances? Have you had those days that have just stacked up, and it's just one thing, and it's like you just can't pull out of it? And so I want you to know there's a tension reduction model. I want you to know that if you can recognize what that is going up, you can intervene earlier, right? So being aware of those physiological determinants, heart rate, breathing, and it all comes from something God gave you. It's a sympathetic nervous system. We perceive something threatening. We move into fight, flight, and the little thing that many people don't know about but may recognize, freeze. The part where you're just completely immobilized. It's a normal response system to protect you, right? So some of the strategies I'm going to give you are just basic physiological things that you can do that will physiologically bring those numbers down, right? Because if your body has come to this higher stress response and you recognize it, and you engage in behaviors that bring you down, now you're at a better place to respond. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So, anybody know what box breathing is? Yeah, this is good. Okay, so I'm in a place to teach a new skill. So if we move one slide forward to how do you manage stress, we've talked to how we respond to stress. If you're engaging in self-care, what do you do for yourself once you know that you're stressed? Breathe. Take a walk. Yeah, just take yourself out of the setting for a moment. Anybody else? Take a nap. Just escape, right? Or restore, right? Okay, there are things that you can do kind of quickly. I jump around in my slides, so I jump around with what I think I'm going to say too. The Bible gives you plenty of direction. What do you think stress or anxiety is predicated under? What do you think the thing is that drives that? Fear, right? And you can sit there and think, well, I'm not in a combat zone. What am I afraid of? This isn't life or death. What am I afraid of? Afraid of failure. There's one. Somebody else? Losing control is not being in control. Yeah. Somebody else? Letting someone down. That's the nebulous thing that I was looking for. Because what's in somebody's head? Would you say? Oh, you don't know what's in somebody's head unless they tell you. But we got all these ideas. And these ideas can go in a whole bunch of different directions. When I travel with my little mama, she wants to know each step. We missed our first flight out for Amsterdam. We had 7 standbys to get us back on track in a day. I said, I just need you to follow me. I will tell you what I know when I know it, but I just need you to follow me. And not, for the love of God, say anything. I do have the sweetest mama. Yes, although she beat me with about 30 items that I can name. But she is. She's really sweet. But her anxiety of we're going to miss it, it's going to be my fault, and we're going to miss it, oh my God, are we going to take it? And stuff, oh, is my baby okay? This is just a lot. Maybe we shouldn't just go at all. Right? Now, I can tell you some of those things because I've heard some of those things. I know that my mama likes hazelnut, and she likes chocolate. And I know exactly what piece of candy to go get her when I get her set down at a gate. and she perks up like a little bird, right? She just needs to know that everything's okay. She needs to know I'll have a little bit of expectation about what's coming in. She's not very different from all the rest of us, right? The Bible says, fear not. How many times does the Bible say, fear not? 365. You got one for every day, right? It's like we're slow learners and we got to be told over and over and over, right? When Moses takes the people out of slavery, what were the provisions? Huh? No, cha. Enough for each day. Not any more, not any less. Enough for each day. I probably got 30 minutes left, right? Okay. Enough for each day. And so I thought it was just manna. And they just gathering that stuff off the ground and it just disappears. And I don't know what kind of fool's gold that is, but it offered sustenance. No, read the Bible a little closer. They had quail coming in every day. I had some hunters in the classroom and they got real excited about that. And they were like, that's really good eats. There was a light through the night that guided them. Right? At some point, they wanted more. They wanted something else. They were willing to go back to slavery, and they were really challenging Moses. And so he had to climb the thing and get the tablets and show him what for. Because sometimes the provision that we have isn't what we want. Right? Man plans and God laughs. Yeah. But these provisions are for you. That stress response is for you. Kelly told you all the cognitive reasons and stuff that it helps you, right? So he tells us, judge not. Judge not is going to be important when we talk to mindfulness. So when we move into space of judgment, it's like, oh my God, this is so important. What's so important is so important. That's a place of judgment. Can you believe she is wearing that? That's a place of judgment. My roots, God, this is going to look bad for a long, long time. That's a place of judgment. Stay out of judgment, folks, right? All kinds of scriptures about staying out of judgment. Rest in the Lord. Be still. Right? Understand that provision is there for you all of this time, right? Take comfort. It's all the ways that they were comforted. And if you look at who's writing it and when they're writing it, they were in some pretty tough situations, right? God's provision we've talked about. And then there's prayer. There's a song that says, I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, right? I love that little song. I can't exactly remember the second verse, but the third verse in my head was, I got the pizza patza understanding down in my heart. And I sang it just like that. And I was in a place in my life living in Shreveport, and I thought God was putting something in front of me to do. I thought he had found that man that had the humor, the integrity, and the faith. He had the faith and he had the integrity. But we were from different religious backgrounds, right? Didn't work out. We're still great friends. But I was like, give me a sign, God. What is I supposed to use? This is what I think it is? Because I wasn't looking for anybody at that point in my life, right? Yeah, well, it didn't. But it did bring me to a stronger place in my faith. And I will tell you, I was driving down the road, and the joy, joy came into my head as I was puzzling, and I couldn't get out of my head, but I'm in the joy, joy, and I get to the pizza patza, and I was like, pizza patza? What is that? And I spent about 5 to 10 minutes driving, not being able to unpuzzle pizza patza. And then in God's provision, the peace that passes understanding, it's in one of those scriptural references. And I spent a year praying for the peace to let go and to follow. And I prayed actively for a stillness. So Pizza Patza was a great gift given to me when I was 5 from when I was 32. I'm a lot older now, right? So we'll move to the breathing, so you can advance 2 forward. And so when we look at deep breathing, box breathing isn't on there. But how many sides are there to a box? A square, right? I didn't want to get you on the land of cubes. We'd pass out. So box breathing has us breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. That last hold is really weird to me. But before you do some breathing, I want you all to pay attention to your body. You're at the doctor's office. You take that deep breath in. Do that for me. What part of your body moved?
Should be your belly.
She knows where I'm going, folks. Most people, it's that chest rising. Somewhere when I returned to the VA and was treating people and I was working as a generalist, I would teach people 4-7-8, except I did 7-4-8. And somebody that I was teaching goes, oh, yeah, that's like when we teach kids to sing. And so I want you to, I'll get over my weight concerns, but you see my fingers on my stomach. You see that they're laced together just a little bit. They're not moving. I'm sitting here talking to y'all, right? The air is coming from the upper part of my body. Now, I am going to do a deep breath for y'all. And then I'm going to hold that breath, and I'm going to let go of that breath. And you're going to watch my fingers and tell me what they did. All right? I usually have to let go before I start. All right. What did my fingers do? That's when you know that you've hit diaphragmatic breathing. All right? So when you think about that, everybody just let go of what they're holding and breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 3, 4. Breathe out. 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3. Let go. Can you tell any part of a difference? Now, if you're like me, I'd have been chasing that. And I'd probably need to do that 2 or 3 times to get to that space. And you saw me skip numbers because I'm recognizing my word is a number. So if it's breathe, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Right? So 4-7-8, I really taught it 7-4-8, and I would have people breathe in. Hold. That 8 is the largest number. It is the last number. You have a reserve of air that's there. When you're letting it all out, you are coming to a different physiological space and place. The air, when you are in fight, flight, your heart rate increases. It requires more blood to pump. You're not digesting food anymore because it's rushed to the heart. So you might feel nauseous when you're anxious. You don't need your blood here and here and here, that tingling. You get that that's a physiological response. If you're reversing that response, you're slowing that breathing down. You slow that breathing down, you slow that heart down. So there's some things that you'll see in little clips and stuff online, and one of the things is God's provision. And what did they wouldn't call God by name, right? But Yahweh, right? It's Yahweh. It is the literal breath of air. It is Genesis, where he breathes life into us. So if you want to take this to a biblical place, your breathing is Yahweh. So breathing can physiologically bring you back where you need to be. So move to the next slide. Guided imagery. I'm really not a beach person. Does nothing for me. I mean, I kind of like the water coming in and out, but I don't like to be hot, right? And sand, I mean, I can handle it, but I'm not crazy about it. Jellyfish, not either. Right? But that sound of the water, boy, I like that. That's nice. And I get bored. But guided imagery says you engage all of your senses. And so when we teach with the beach. And so you close your eyes, you take a couple of breaths and stuff, and you'd say, what does it look like? And you see the sun. You may or may not choose to have clouds, right? But you see the water. You may or may not choose to have palm trees. But the more details and stuff you pull it in, you bring it to a richer place. And after you've done all the C's you can do, you do the sounds. And then you do the touch. I can feel the warmth of the sun on my skin. I can feel the sand on my feet. As I wiggle my toes, I get to that place where the sand is really cool underneath there. Right? The more that you put in it, the deeper that you go. You got a really good person, they can taste the pina colada, right? I don't like when people go, breathe deep. I hate all of that stuff. But because my mind, it's like stripping the gears, right? But when you tell me why I'm doing it, then I want to check it out, right? So that's the why. Your thing can be so personal. I loved my mama. And my little mama, she had a rough life. Her first child was born at home. It was a 36-hour labor. My grandfather begged the doctor, because those were the times the doctors would come to you and stuff, and you had in-home births and stuff, to take her to the hospital, take her to the hospital, take her to the hospital. After a delivery with forceps and stuff, the baby was not moving. They covered up the baby. They thought the baby was dead. And my great-aunt Maury, who also was there during that birth, saw the baby move. And so my Uncle Edward had profound deficits. And he never walked. He never talked. He was over 6 feet tall, and my little mama was shorter than I was. My little mama thought that every good grandmother took her grandchildren every Friday night. Run, Judy, run. And so she did. My grandfather died the day that I was born. Or died the day before and was buried the day that I was born. His death put my mama into labor. It was her father-in-law, but she loved him. I love that there was a time in my life that I did not recognize and know what poor was. Because my mama was poor and I didn't know it. We weren't. My mama's house was the best place in the world to go. There were giant blocks of cheese and butter in the refrigerator that we saw in no store, but they existed in this magical place of Momo's. And she would make fried chicken and homemade fries and biscuits that went to the grave with her. And she would make you whatever you wanted for breakfast. And there were no rules at Momo's house. My brother delighted in setting rat traps. That disturbs me to no end right now. But I didn't know then. He would put them in my pillowcase. That's the type of brother that I have, right? On Momo's house, there was a porch. Now, her house was a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, and Edward was there, and he's in a wheelchair, and he just hollers and stuff, but that was just Edward. I'd known him all my life, right? And he had a top that he could reach down, he was tall, he could reach down and get that top going, right? So I have all these memories of Momo's house. If you open the front door on that Saturday morning, because you would have gone over it Friday night, the porch, the concrete on the porch would be really dark, and there would be a sheen on it from the dew. And it would be really cold to your bare feet in a way that is comforting on a summer day. You can see it, can't you? There was a rocking chair from where my grandfather retired, but my mama sat in that rocking chair so routinely that the hand places were worn or discolored, right? My mama was a heavy lady. It comes honestly. I was about 8 years old, and I was in her lap. I was too big to be in her lap, and she was a larger lady, and she was soft because she was a larger lady. And I can feel, so I've taken you off site, I can feel the handles digging into my legs a little bit because I'm too big for it. And I can feel her arms on me, and I can feel that squeeze. And I can hear my own voice going, rock me, Mama, rock me, right? And I can hear the laughter in her soft chest. Not where you'd think it would be, but you see that you can take a rich personal memory and tie it in to guided imagery. Judy, this is the kind of stuff that gets your brain off and your sleep on. Does that make sense to everybody? My little mama, who beat me with all the 30 items or more, she is spiritual in a way that I am not, and it flows out of her. And she gives with absolute abandon. When one of us is undergoing surgery, she knows it's really nice that people have come to sit with her, but all she wants to do is close her eyes and climb up into the lap of Jesus. If you can remember what it was to be held as a little kid, then you have the physiological for it. If you know the scriptures, and let the children come unto me, and you know that you are a child of God, then you can tune in to all the grace that comes with climbing in the lap of Jesus. Guided imagery. Y'all with me? Next slide. If you don't like all of the dig around in your head Yahoo stuff, then what you can do is you can go into something very concrete, progressive muscle relaxation. The smaller the muscle groups that you can do with this, the longer that it will take. I don't know that I said this, but each skill that you do, you start with deep breathing. You do 2 to 3 deep breaths, right? Because already you're tuning your body down. Does that make sense? All right, you start with the extremities. Y'all are all sitting here. I want you to, I could make you do your toes, but you might have constricting footwear on. So if you take your fingers and just take your fingertips and you pull them in tightly, can you feel that? Can you feel the muscles pulling from the back of here? Can you feel kind of that there? You're engaging in that for a number of seconds, and you're paying attention to what does it feel like. Now I want you to release your fingers. And you're paying attention to what does it feel like? The moment that you let that tension go, it feels better than when you started because it's relaxing after some work. You move down to a fist, and you can feel it in the palm. You can feel it on the back of the hand. I can feel it a little bit in that wrist. And I let that go. And what does that feel like? It's like a mini self-massage. I did some yoga somewhere, and they wanted you to lay on the ground, and I was glad to lay on the ground after doing some things that were a little bit hard to do. But they wanted you to take your face and push your face to the ceiling. So it looks something like that, which is crazy talk. And you know you look foolish. But I am telling you folks, it was next level. You squeezed your face, you trust the process. If you squeeze your face towards the ceiling and you let it go, it just kind of drapes back down, right? So you're doing your biceps, you're doing your toes, you're doing your foot. If you arch your foot, then also flex your foot. That's a different set of muscle groups. And if you work from your extremities in, you should have a nice little massage and you should be able to go to sleep. And if not, you start all over again, right? Progressive muscle relaxation. Mindfulness is the next slide. So mindfulness, oh God, I did not like it. We would get in medical staff meetings, and we're going to have a mindfulness moment. I have too much on my desk to be messing with you people and doing this. I know how to do mindfulness. I can teach mindfulness. I don't want to teach mindfulness, but I can. Why do I have to sit here for this? Breathe deep. Boy, sitting in some kind of resentment for a mindfulness moment, right? Mindfulness, I want you to know the VA offers a number of apps to our veterans, and they are free. VA also has a fourth mission that is outreach to everyone. Those apps are free for everyone. There's an app called Mindfulness Coach that's a pretty good app. It's written like maybe at a 6th grade level. And again, you've heard me say, I don't care to sit there and just do this. I don't submit easily. But down on the bottom of that, there's a little icon that looks like a book, and it'll tell you what you're doing and why. And so for my very cognitive patients, I go, all right, I hate this too, but if you read this. And there are a series, it's not going to say this discreetly here. It was in a different training manual that I realized there were stair-step skills. And so your skills to mindfulness, right, you're going to do your deep breaths. We do that with all the things. You're cueing yourself, you're priming yourself, right? But it has you observe, right? If you were observing this altar, tell me what you see. Yeah. Blue, bowls of water, greenery. Who looked at this altar and said, oh, isn't that pretty? Right? Pretty's a judgment. It's like y'all were tricking me, right? Because y'all did all the nice observational things. I usually have an orchid in my office, and I would have a patient go, tell me what you see. Or, y'all would love this, I'd play, Elton John did a concert in Australia that had a full symphony behind it. And I learned the difference between Bose and your regular speakers by listening to the music on the two things. Boy, you can pick out all the strings if you've got good sound, right? Sorry about that. So if I played a piece of music, somebody would go, oh, that's beautiful. And I was like, nope. You got it wrong. And it's like, are you arguing with me about it being beautiful? It's like, no, you're not observing. I hear a musical piece. I hear violins. I hear a cello. I may or may not hear a flute. All of those things are staying out of judgment. Right? If I look ahead, I'm driving, and I see MacArthur full of traffic, and I say, I'm never going to make it on time, judgment. If I look at MacArthur and go, oh, there's about 15 cars ahead of me, okay. Now how am I going to respond to it? If you have the phone ringing, your cell phone ringing, and emails coming in, what are your judgments? Right? If you have your boss on there, or you have, your master complainer on there, right? What are the judgments? There was a TED Talk that I heard in the last couple of days, and it was by an ER doc. And she said, the talk was an ER doc on how to triage your busy life. And the woman's name is Daria Long. And so she does this whole thing, and I'm stealing rampantly from it. She says, do not say crazy busy. How many of you people have said, I'm crazy busy? When you articulate that into the world, you're already in this place. And she says in the ER, you have things that are coded red, green, yellow, black. Black means it's not an issue anymore. And if it was a failure and stuff, it's done. It's gone. It's off the plate. But how much do we sit kind of in that failure? And how many times are we coding things red, 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 as opposed to that's a red, that's a green, that's a yellow, right? And I'm just taking care of the things as I can take care of them. I'm taking care of my reds. Okay, I'm down to my yellows, right? But she talked about like a number of skills. This is going to dovetail into mindfulness. But she said when we are releasing our stress hormones, we are increasing our stress hormones. Our frontal lobe, that's our prefrontal is your decision making, is decreasing. Our impulse control is decreasing. Our anger is increasing, right? She's suggesting we become tactical. When I was talking to my mom on the phone about her taxes, trying to get into the encrypted document, she got some kind of way with me, and I was like, wait a minute. Don't talk to me like that, right? And then at some point, I got sharp with her, and I had to back off of that and say I was sorry. But I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to get such and such for the house. And she's like, well, no, don't do that. I don't want you to do that. And then I've just bruised my little mama, who really is sweet. But you see, it was the spiral and the judgments, right, that were putting us up there. She says, when you're tactical, you can stay in ready mode, and you can relentlessly triage. Guys, when we stay out of judgment about whether you're going to fail or not, right? She talks about this story, which it's an emergency delivery. It didn't look good. And she says, when I took myself out of this umbilical cord that was wrapped twice around the baby, and I just pay attention to what this baby and this mama need me to do, my internal dialogue stopped because I'm staying actively present. That's in mindfulness. I'm staying actively present, and I'm responding to what I need to do, and I'm a lot more effective that way. George knows that I love the Cokesbury hymnal. I particularly love a song that I thought was really weird when I was young, and it's others. Others, Lord, yes, others. Let that my motto be, that I might live for others, that I should live for thee. When you think about what you don't have or what such and such and how you're uncomfortable, right? Versus when I see all the things that I have and the things that I can provide for others, your shortcomings really take a back seat. The last slide I'm going to talk about is going to be prayer. But if you look at the order of the Lord's Prayer, we honor God. We give thanks. We pray for others. And then we take care of this part. But when our order starts up here, by the time we get to self, the perspective is remarkably altered. Does that make sense? Okay. So, she says you get out of your head and you focus on others, and stop calling it crazy mode. So if I'm back to mindfulness, when I was doing the deeper reading on it, I realized that the first thing they do is they bring your breathing down. The next thing they do is they teach you to stay out of judgment. The next thing they do is you are observing not only your external, but your internal, right? But you're not doing it with judgment. I can tell I'm feeling more stressed. I can tell that I'm feeling sharp. Why am I feeling that way? Because I want or need this thing. The next skill is distress tolerance. The skill after that is learning to articulate what you need in a proactive way rather than a reactive way. Because now you're not coming from a space and place of anger. Does that make sense? Right? The natural thing in the world's order is if she pushes me, I push her back. Well, then that's going to escalate up. In violence prevention and stuff, we teach people if somebody's sharp to present with a genuine sense of curiosity. I'm like, Lord, that don't make no sense. Only person I'd do that for is an infant. But when we do that for other people, we're in a place to understand. That's George trying to get somewhere on time. He serves a lot of people at front of the house. He's maybe worried that he's letting somebody down or he's not going to make it. It's easier for me to be in a place of kindness at that point. And you get people to start talking, right? So, let's see. Pay attention to the present, stay out of judgment, focused awareness to thought or feeling without clinging to it, without resisting it. Boy, that's a thing, right? Or thinking how to change it. It's just moving into an acceptance, right? In the airport, my mom has moved into a place of acceptance. That rat in the maze where you're getting your things done, and she tends to have something shiny on, and sequins set off the thing. But I didn't do anything. I don't have anything. Why are you doing this to me? Oh, we're not going to make it. I'll never wear this shirt again. Right? Gentle acceptance. It's easy for me to say, Mom, it's okay. We have plenty of time. I think this is what it is. They're used to this. We can do that for others, but we need to do that for ourselves. Attend to the flow of experience. So, one of the mindfulness exercises is like you're watching a brook, and in that brook it's fall, and there's some leaves that have come down, and there are some green leaves, and there are some brown leaves, and there are some whatever. And you go, oh, boy, that one's really messed up. Why is that one really messed up? Is something dead up there? And such and such and such. And all of a sudden, because I'm focused on this one, and it's going, and it's going, and it's going, I'm now holding that water steady. And what happens when you hold running water steady? It builds up and it creates this swirl. Gentle acceptance is, there it goes. Oh yeah, that one doesn't look good. That's such and such. Well, isn't that interesting? Gentle acceptance. And it moves things in flow. So if you're reading mindful literature and stuff, they'll talk to you about staying in flow. Does that make sense? reduces your stress and worry, helps you feel more grounded, increases your awareness of how thoughts affect feelings. Kelly talked to y'all a lot about how thoughts affect feelings. Cultivates calmness in the presence of unhelpful thoughts and challenging thoughts, or that you're just stress tolerant, less reactive, experience improvement in health and overall well-being. If you do Mindfulness Coach, which is the app, they'll give you a little plant, and every time you engage with it, your little plant grows, and your plant can become a tree, and my, aren't you skilled by then, right? I didn't get to the tree. All right, guys, we're hitting the end. Prayer and meditation improves your relationship with God, improves mental health by helping you feel calm, reducing anxiety. Rest in the Lord. Know that He loves you. Know that there's provision, as bad as it was in Job. If you read Job, you see depression and suicidal thoughts. And all of a sudden you see that those things are normal. And Job's friends, they weren't particularly helpful, right? But his reliance was on God throughout the hard times. Jesus promises us there will be hard times. It is that you are not alone, and that it's that faithful provision. Meditation, for those that don't pray, you'll see that you'll get some parallel focus on those things. If I slip back over to prayer, that sense of purpose, what I'm going to do with this information, that also part of letting go, that mirrors what you see in mindfulness. And so, next slide. Where you put your heart, your mind will follow. If your heart is on others, your mind will follow. If your heart is on God and service, your heart will follow. If you're looking solely at the task in front of you, and you're looking at the me's, your mind will follow. So these are the behaviors and the skills and the resources that are in your menu deck. I'm down like 10 points maybe, but I'm still up here walking and talking, right? But any questions, any concerns? Kelly told me to watch out for you. He says, you got to watch out for Chicago. He told me exactly where you sat. I'm going to tell Kelly that I have better skills. Yeah. Kelly's a few years older than I am, and he was an intern when my mom worked for the VA, and she wanted me to come meet Kelly, and Kelly gave me tips on how to get into graduate school. And then when I was working with my master's, Kelly was his supervisor. He was not mine. There's so many faces of Kelly. He rides a motorcycle but can wear a seersucker suit. But Kelly trained me on trauma care. He is a master trainer with trauma care. He's remarkably skilled. Kelly and I are in church together. I'm going to give EO a plug because they're sitting in the back of the room, and I'm not responsible for anybody. We've been on 2, and we're supposed to go on 3 pilgrimages with educational opportunities. And while we did not make that last pilgrimage because everything happened in Israel and Gaza, we watched EO, and EO sent us stuff, and they had their people out of that area within 24 hours. They were across in Jordan and stuff. And what does that thing says? Where you put your heart, your mind will follow. Did y'all really? And so I tell you this, if you ever have the opportunity to go, what they tell you about you will never read the Bible the same way is true. And so, you know, my mama and our thoughts, and I got to stop now because I'm over by 1 minute, but we went to the Holy Land with them, and we were going a second time because I wanted to go to Megiddo again. And for those that don't know, Megiddo is Har Megiddo, because Har means mountain. And when you do Har Megiddo, it is Armageddon. And you can stand there and you can see the houses at Nazareth. And you can see the mountain of transfiguration. And you see this valley, and you realize that people in Nazareth would have experienced war in that pathway. And so I really want to go back to go to Armageddon again. My mama wants to go to the pits of hell. And the pits of hell are Caesarea Philippi, where Jesus says, "Who do they say that I am?" And then he says, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter rises to that great answer. And then from that place, there is a scripture that said, surely the gates of hell will not prevail. What you need to know that a gate is an opening to a cave, and they would have put sheep in the gate, right? And the shepherd would have laid in the gate. And as a person, particularly a little person and stuff, I'm sitting there going, they're trying to get us, and the church is so strong, and the Christians are so that they will not prevail. That's not what he was saying at all. Who do they say that I am? Right? And Genesis opens with a light, and a light into the world. And Jesus is, I am the light, right? And we are vessels, and we're supposed to have our oil lamps prepared. And this little light of mine, that scripture is saying, as he is standing in front of the gates, and they thought that was Hades. It was one, and they were praying to the gods of Hades as he was standing outside that cave. It is that the gates of hell will not prevail, for the light overwhelms the darkness. But you got to see it. You got to know it to understand it. And I think the Bible kind of comes in a place where it gives us just what we can need and just what we can take. And then as we're ready for more, boom, it cracks open into something new. You had a question?
Yes, ma'am. I've got a question about one of the slides that you had.
Sure.
I second what you said about Leo.
Yeah. So, anyway, that also is a perspective moment if I'm going to tie it into how you handle this. Which slide?
Got a question on one of the slides, but I second what you say about
Yeah.
EO trips to Holy Land.
Sure.
The one that has the arc.
Yes.
This is the average stress response.
Yes.
Is it normal to go from normal
Yes.
baseline straight to severe, and there's no medium?
Yeah.
And then how do you handle that when you go
So
straight?
there is a pathway that is giving you, right? And so some people Ben from youth, you could just see it all over him, and it just went like that. I just want you to think it's kind of like jet fuel, right? And it just goes. And there I do have triggers that will make me immediately hot, right? So yes, that's normal. It's a biological thing. You want to think in terms of, though it's just a shorter distance, we just get there kind of faster, as opposed to tick, tick, boom, right? Because some of it's just sitting on a hair trigger. And so this just shows you the illustration that you're supposed to take from here is that you can see a normal increase. But guys, you could also take that bump out of that bell and you could go to normal and stay there. You could go to moderate and stay there. You could be at severe and come down to that tension reduction. The curve just grows and shortens.
With your experience, if you're dealing with a person that has the characteristics from going, everything is normal, and then goes straight to severe and panic, how do you
So what we
try
do,
to-
so this thing, everything that I've taught you is about self-care and what you're doing there. She's asking about other people and how do you deal with kind of other people. So when we teach prevention and management of disruptive behavior, we know we pair what we see with our intervention. So we pair normal with good customer service. We pair moderate with verbal de-escalation, getting someone to talk so you can understand the underlying need. Ultimately, you're trying to understand the underlying need, because when we meet people's needs, then you diffuse that stress response. When somebody's coming in hot, like you're talking about, right, it's appropriate to do limit setting, right? I'm going to need you to stop yelling at me. I want to help you. I can't help you when I'm feeling overwhelmed. See, I put ownership here, but I told you what I needed from you to do that, right? I'm going to ask that you stop yelling or leave, right? And when you look at that mindfulness and stuff, right, our normal reactive stuff was like, you can't come in here and talk to me like that, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, or I'm not messing with you, da-da-da-da-da. Nowhere in there have you looked at, I'm here to try to meet your need, which is all predicated on that first skill, which is good customer service, right? And so we want to make sure that we're engaging people, right? There are times that I will let people yell and scream or whatever, but it's not directed at me, right? So, yeah. Yep. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
What's the name of that mindfulness advocate?
It's called Mindfulness Coach. Yep. Yep. All righty. Well, thank y'all. Oh, look there, I shouldn't have been doing that. This is how group influence works, but anyway.
Good morning, everyone. Well, first of all, I was going to say, let's thank Dr. Lott, because when she said Denise, I was like, who's Denise? It says Julia on the screen. But listen, I understand that. But thank you so much. That was awesome. So, why am I here this morning? Because I'm keeping you from your break for just a little while. 2026 is coming. I feel like we just started 2025. But in looking ahead, because we're great administrators, right? What do? We prepare, we set things in order. Exactly. Thank you, Brenda. Appreciate you. It gives me great pleasure, because normally we do this at the end, but I'm giving y'all, and my folks online, I haven't forgotten you. Where's the camera? This one or that one in the back? Which one are they looking at me from? Hey, y'all. Because, I do this in church and we forget the people online, but I don't want to forget y'all. I want to say, hey, y'all, we know that you're there. So I'm going to announce where our 2026 annual, look at them, ready to go. And let me tell you something. I miss Bishop Williamston, but I was with her in Atlanta, and I told her, don't let nobody tell you I'm stalking you. I'm following you to your conference, but I'm going to be there after you. And she did this thing with keep knocking and being persistent. And keep knocking and being persistent. So people were persistent, because that's what administrators do. And so it gives me great pleasure to announce that our 2026 annual meeting will be on an EO-sponsored cruise. That's right. It will be on an EO-sponsored cruise. And right now, I'm going to introduce Reverend Diana K. Phillips, and she's the Area Director of Travel Ministry for EO, and she's going to come and give you all the details. There have been some questions that I've been asked, and the last time we took a cruise, it was in 2019. We had a great time, and there was something that was offered if people registered on site at PAUMCS conference. For those of you that weren't there in 2019, let me see your hands. Okay, that's not going to be here this time. Okay, and don't. If those of you that don't know about it, don't worry about it. You can't miss what you never had. It's the truth. You can't. But as we all know, the world has changed a lot, right? Since 2019, and cruise prices have gone up. So this is a way for everybody to get the greatest price. Am I right? Yes. The greatest price. So Kelly's gonna, not Kelly, that's wrong. That is wrong. That was yesterday. This is Reverend Diana K. Phillips. That K threw me off. She's gonna come and tell us all about the cruise. She has a presentation. And so let's welcome Doctor. Listen, I'm speaking those things as though they are. Let's welcome Dr. Phillips.
The K represents Kelly, as my maiden name became my middle name.
You see how smart I am? Jesus just gives it to me. Come on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I am Diana Phillips, and I am just thrilled to be here with PAUMCS. My very first time with PAUMCS, I believe it was Minnesota. And I begged to go last year, but I got trumped by somebody else. But then I begged again this year, and I'm here, so I'm super pumped and excited. And yes, so we, this is not going to stand up very well, but, and I'm going to have a, thank you. And then I know we'll have a video after this, but, okay, so we will be, the cruise will be April 18th through the 23rd of 2026. And I have plenty of brochures. I had to keep them secret. I had them hidden back there, but now they will be available. And you will be traveling on a 5-night Eastern Caribbean cruise, or Caribbean, you can pronounce it either way, aboard the Freedom of the Seas. It is a fabulous ship. And I'm just going to give a few details just to get you pumped up and excited, so you can get more details when you visit my table, pick up the brochure. But you're going to depart from Miami on Saturday, April 18th. You're going to visit Nassau, Bahamas. Cruise days, there'll be 2 at-sea days, and anytime we have training on our ships for folks, or even training that we do for our Director of Travel Ministries, we do that on travel or sea days, so that doesn't interrupt you going and doing your excursions. And you're going to visit Labadee, Haiti. I was just there in January with an EO cruise. Absolutely, just beyond beautiful. It doesn't really give you a true taste of Haiti because it's very much like a resort area, but it's beautiful beaches, relaxing, great food, and then you'll finish back up in Miami. We have your speaker. We are super blessed. I met Reverend Dr. Douglas Ruffle my first time visiting with PAUMCS, and he is back there, and he is going to be your speaker. And he is here, so you get to ask all kinds of questions about what he is planning on doing, and you will be truly blessed with whatever it is that he's going to share with you. The brochure has a lot more details about what EO has worked with PAUMCS to incorporate, such as a church visit and all kinds of things. So the question that did come up about that 2019 discount if you registered in person, I can't even begin to tell you how much cruise prices have gone up, not just since 2019, but since last year. It has gone up. So EO has worked really, really hard, working with PAUMCS and doing everything they can do to keep the prices lower, and also to include some of the specialized excursions that you're going to be doing is included into the price. Just to give you an idea, if you want an interior stateroom, it's going to be $778. But then think again, you're going to pay just a little bit more than what you've paid to come here. And then you're also going to have, of course, all your foods included, beautiful amenities. This is a beautiful center, but it's different than a cruise. This is beautiful. Actually, where I live in San Antonio, Texas, we have a Wesley Center that's about an hour from us. It's now called Light on the Hill, but this is just, this tops it. This is a beautiful location. Ocean View Stateroom, $898. And for those that you enjoy balconies, it's under $1,000, $998. And this on the cruise ship, it's going to include your entertainment. And is there anybody that has not cruised? Okay, so on a cruise ship, it is amazing. It is amazing. Oh, it is. It's just absolutely amazing. So I have lots of details at my table. Please spend time talking to Dr. Ruffle. He'll share with you his enthusiasm and his knowledge. I'm so grateful that he said yes to this on your behalf. And I believe we have a little video. So I am going to stop talking. We're going to show the video, and then I will be back at my table. I have brochures, and I can answer any questions. Oh, and it's only $200 to register. And I would highly suggest, because cruises are so incredibly popular, because I don't think this is totally all PAUMCS on this cruise, because it's a big ship. So if you know, let's say you want to get a balcony cabin, I would just go ahead and put that $200 deposit on when you register, because what happens if you don't put your deposit in, you're considered on standby. So $200, and I can talk to you about the different ways that you can take care of that, but okay, I'll stop talking now. Enjoy the video.
Join us for the 2026 PAUMCS Annual Meeting Cruise presented by EO Tours, along with guest speaker Reverend Dr. Douglas Ruffle. Set sail on board Royal Caribbean's Freedom of the Seas for an unforgettable journey filled with fellowship, inspiration, and relaxation. Experience the beauty of the Caribbean as we visit Nassau, Bahamas. Here you will attend a worship service in a local Methodist church and meet denomination leaders. Adventure awaits in Labadee, Haiti, whether you're zipping across the ocean on the world's longest overwater zip line, lounging on pristine beaches, or discovering the island's breathtaking landscapes. On board, you'll enjoy dynamic sessions, meaningful worship, and plenty of time to connect with fellow PAUMCS members.
Hi, I'm Doug Ruffle. I'm excited to be your speaker on this incredible journey. Throughout my years of ministry, from serving churches in the U.S. to missionary work in South America and being on staff of global ministries for the region, I've seen how God moves through connection and community. This is more than just a getaway. It's a time of fellowship, renewal, and inspiration as we connect with one another in a beautiful, beautiful setting. I will be speaking on the historical connection between Methodists from the United States and Methodists who are from the region, from South America, Central America, Mexico, and the Caribbean. And we will draw from the rich spiritual legacy of the Wesleys and Bishop Thomas Coke to help understand better how God is calling us into future mission involvements. I can't wait to be with you.
This all-inclusive experience is open to spouses and travel companions, making it the perfect getaway. Secure your spot today and be a part of an unforgettable journey of faith, community, and adventure. For more information or to book your journey, visit www.eo.travel or call 800-247-0017. Join us for the 2026 PAUMCS Annual Meeting Cruise presented by EO Tours, along with guest speaker Reverend Dr. Douglas Ruffle. Set sail on board Royal Caribbean's Freedom of the Seas for an unforgettable journey filled with fellowship, inspiration, and relaxation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And what I just want to say about the cruise, one other thing, is that you'll notice when you receive the brochures from, I'm going to keep saying Dr. Phillips now, but I'm just speaking those things as though they are. But when you go back there and you get the brochures, you will notice in the fine print that it says the final payment is due by December 19th, 2025. Now, I know that some of your budgets don't kick in until 2026. But you also heard what she said about the price of cruises and waiting and being on standby. So I've already emailed and I've left him a voice message and he responded from Mark Ye. And he's going to try to get that date moved into January to accommodate your budgets. All right, so he's working with the cruise line to see if they can do that because it's when they require final payment. That's the first thing. The second thing, most important, well, not most important is going, but you can also use this as an opportunity to make it a vacation because a lot of people did that in 2019. Now, y'all have heard me complaining about the man baby that I'm married to. He's gonna be on this cruise, so y'all start praying for me from now, all right? I'm just saying, but in 2019, for those of you that went, my mom went, and she had a blast. You know, she loved PAUMCS women, and you know, my mom refers to me. She knew I was coming here. She wanted to know if her other daughter was coming. What other daughter? Who are you talking about? Libby. Libby is my mother's other daughter. But again, it can be an opportunity to bring your spouse, to bring family, and to make it a vacation. And trust me and believe, for those of you that have not been on cruises, this is very affordable for a cruise. And Labadee, Haiti, the private beach of Haiti, is a great beach. It's a private beach that's owned by Royal Caribbean. So there ends my speech, and Rhonda is next.
Thank you, Gail. Your CE word for session 3. Avery Island. A-V-E-R Island. Avery Island. A-V-E-R-Y, correct. Avery Island is a salt dome in Louisiana known for producing Tabasco sauce. And they host a bird sanctuary. If you ever get a chance to go to Avery Island, it's awesome. If you love spicy stuff, it's great to see them grow the Tabasco peppers, harvest them, and you can see them produce it. But your CEU word for the last session is Avery Island. At this time, you have a short break. We will come back together at 10 o'clock for our next session from Director of Communications Todd Rossnagel and the Louisiana Conference. See you at 10.